What's going on, peeps? It's Wrath here, hanging out today, playing some Idle Heroes. I want to thank you guys so much for coming to hang out with me today. If you liked the video, don't forget, smash that thumbs up button and show your support. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well. Alright, guys, it's been a little bit. It's been days. Days and days. The longest I think I've ever been off of YouTube. It's pretty crazy. But, you know, I had some stuff to figure out, some stuff to do, and honestly, I'll be real with you guys. Idle Heroes is getting a little bit boring. It's getting a little more to turn into like a straight up job, like it's a chore to make content on rather than it's fun most of the time, especially during weeks like these that are pretty slow. So during the slow weeks, you're probably going to see a whole lot less Idle Heroes on the channel just because I don't really feel like forcing myself to run through and make content that just is half-hearted. That's just not the way I like to do things. So what we will be doing today is a couple of things. We'll brush over the events pretty quickly because these, like I said, these events don't take a lot of explaining. They're very simplistic events. And then we'll go through. I'm going to drop out my 1,000 friendship summons because, or my 100, I guess, friendship summons because if I don't, I can't get any more of them. So we're going to have to spend them. We've got to do it. But anyways, let's start things out here, looking through the events. One more thing. If there's ever been a couple of days where I haven't uploaded or whatnot or something, like you're like, where's Wrath at? A good place to check is my community page on the channel because that's where I generally do my updates, like if something's changing or if I'm doing something or, you know, whatnot. That's where I'll post it. So if you're ever curious, just check that out and that'll probably give you the answers you're looking for. With that said, boom. Value packages. They're kind of the normal run-of-the-mill packages for the campaign event deals. You get some orbs, you get some of the event currency, and you get some gems as well. I generally don't ever spend on these unless the artifact here is really worth it. In this case, if you're of a spending nature, the Antlers Cane is really powerful right now. With the recent boost to precision, when it's maxed out, I've got one here on my Aspen. Boop, boop, boop. It's pretty powerful. 70% precision translates to what, like, this is going to be tough. 21% extra damage or something like that, but it also gives him some heavy skill damage and attack. I do believe the Punisher staff would probably work a little bit better on him to really maximize his crit and crit damage. But whatever, it's not super important. With that said, though, if you really are looking for the Antlers Cane, at least you can get it this week. That's kind of nice. For a free-to-play player who doesn't want to spend any money, Shia will likely be the cap. If you get freakishly lucky, you might be able to land on Faithblade. I've heard people say they've done it before. I've never gotten close. So I would say Shia is probably your top reward that you're going to be able to get to. Demon Hunter, in my opinion, wouldn't be worth wasting the items on. She's just not that great in the current meta, so there's not really a good reason to build her. Other than for like food, I guess, which again, you can get food in a lot of other places. You don't necessarily need one from your event-based currency. So Shia, while she is absolutely amazing, and I like her much, she is a little expensive. She'll probably take everything you get from the event. You might have a couple hundred left over. But for the majority of free-to-play players, the best bet for you to spend your little captain wheels on here is going to be Prophet Orbs, because it's going to help translate to the event, in my experience, that is probably the most advantageous. It gives you the most progress. It helps you, get certain faction heroes to build those factions up. Orbs, in my opinion, are the best, hands down, in the game. Heroic scrolls are definitely nice. Don't get me wrong. They have their use, but they also are very much catered towards spending players. If you're going to play free-to-play, I would focus all of my efforts more so on orbing than I would on heroic summons. It's just, it does work better. It's going to give you better returns in the long run. I've also heard a lot of people say in the past that you can go with spirit or gold if you're really low on it. Personally, I don't like to do this because gold and spirit are farmable. You get them every day from the campaign, and eventually they're going to stack up on you. However, if you're on a newer server or whatnot, and you're just like, I'm always broke on gold, always broke on spirit, maybe you do want to take a split and run your stuff between here and here to get you a few million gold, a few million spirit, and kind of help you make some progress. I wouldn't recommend it. I can't recommend it personally because I think these are just by far and away the better deal. But that's kind of this event hammered out for you. It's pretty simple. Every 10 hours, make sure you're collecting your loot from the campaign because that's when you're going to get the max amount of stuff. Like, boop. Oh, I didn't get any. Well, butts. Anyways, it's did they ever change the deal here to say it? Yeah, they did. They did. It used to be 8 hours. They changed it recently to now at 10 hours, all of your loot is maxed out. So make sure you're getting on at least once every 10 hours to gather your loot, and that will maximize the amount of wheels you get that you can spend you know, in the event. Da-da-da-da-da. All right, moving down Mysterious Chest. It's the same event as it always is for these first 3 chests. They're all pretty good offers. Boom, 5 heroic summons, 5,000 potion stones, 500 gems. Not a bad deal. No reason not to do it. Moving over, or down, I guess. You've got the super chips and 2-piece 4-star gear. The super chips aren't necessarily super important, but the 2-piece 4-star gear is definitely nice for a few reasons. Same with down here. Oops, down here I said. The 8 orbs and the 2-piece 4-star gear. This is a fantastic deal because 8 orbs is 4,000 gems with the orbs, and you get it for 2,400 gems. It's a steal. Definitely make sure you snag that out. But the 4-piece set, when you buy both of these, is going to help you when the blacksmith event comes around. It might be just the 4-star set. You needed to fuse your own 5-star setup and then use the actual event to fuse the 6-star and 6-star class specific. And that's why they're pretty handy. Moving down, we've got this chest. I normally never recommend you buy this chest. And I might buy it on the mini account because I'm going to be building Berea there, and it just kind of helps speed progress up for it. But generally speaking, the 4,000 gems for a hero and 20,000 magic dust isn't worth it in my experience. It would have to be a very, very good hero. And even then, I guess it really depends on if you need it really, really bad. So I normally avoid this chest. I'm going to avoid it on all my accounts except the mini account with the mid tiers. That's where I'll probably snag that one up. And then the final chest here has got the Valkyrie, 25,000 guild coins, and 30 relics. I would say it's still a really good chest. I'm not really building Valkyrie on any of my accounts, but she's still a pretty top tier unit. You still see her all over the place. But 25,000 guild coins, not too shabby. And the 30 relics, again, that's half a hero. Unless you're going light and dark, then it's almost half a hero. But that's good stuff. That's 8,000 gems. I mean, that's a lot for a unit if you're not going to build her, but most people are still building Valkyries. She's still a pretty common unit because she's really handy in the Aspen dungeon. So if nothing else, she definitely works there. But in these 2 areas, relics are always great. Guild coins are great. I'm almost to the point, though, on a cut like my main account where I don't really need the guild coins anymore, and I'd almost rather swap it over to get, like, relics, like, not relics, artifacts, you know what I'm saying? Some orange exclusives. So these are pretty solid. I'm going to go ahead and snag this out because this is just a given for me. These 3 chests, they're always a great value. They're really cheap to buy, and they give you a decent amount of stuff. So I'm going to snag those out. I don't know if I don't really, like, here's the thing. I don't need relics in this account. I've got 351. I only need to buy 2 Adas when she hits the shop. It's 160. The rest of it, I guess, would be going towards artifacts, maybe skins if skins hit the new skins hit the market or something. Maybe some Valentino copies, you know, to get him to E3 or whatnot. But I don't really. I mean, I'm pretty stacked on the relics. I'm not gonna lie, pretty stacked on the relics. But if you're a newer player on a newer server, Valkyrie's a fantastic build. You're going to want one. The 25,000 guild coins gives you a really big head start in your guild tech against other players, which is really handy. And 30 relics, of course, can't go wrong with. So it's not a bad idea to pick this up on a newer server unless you really, really are sure you're dedicated to building Berea. I would definitely leave this chest alone, and I would prioritize getting this chest and this chest first. That's going to help you with upgrading your heroes early on. You're going to need those promotion stones. Plus, it's pretty cheap 5 scrolls. I mean, 1,200 gems isn't bad. You're going to get the second 2 pieces of your 4-star gear, so I'd probably pick it up. I'd go for it. So these 3 chests are generally the ones I always pick up no matter what because A, they're cheap, and B, they're useful. So that's 2 good things. These ones here are the ones that are usually like weighed out. This is still a good chest. This one's usually kind of eh. So there we go. That's pretty much the event hammered out. We'll talk a very short bit about the heroes. I'm not going to go crazy in depth on them just because it's not my jam. It's not my jam. I've talked about them like a million times, so we're going to talk about it. Was there anything in shadow? I don't think there was. There was no shadows, right? No shadows. I can't even remember what was all in the event. Shia was in the event. Aha. Oh, there's actually... Oh, you know what? There was other stuff in the event. There was some changes to ye old eeny, meeny, miny Ormus. We'll talk about that real fast because that's kind of news, isn't it? Ormus finally got a change. I'm not sure how great it's going to be because I haven't used an Ormus in ages because he kind of fell off the map like a year ago. Like no one used him anymore that long ago. But he finally got a little bit of a buff. Essentially, he's been changed a little bit. He no longer heals your entire team with his active skill, at least that's not how it reads. Instead, he heals your ally with the lowest HP for a pretty decent chunk of health, which isn't bad, but he also puts a rescue mark on it, and the rescue mark is going to give them a pretty big chunk of healing, 500% of Ormus's attack, when their HP is lower than 30%. The problem with this is I don't think it's going to save you from burst damage, which right now is kind of the meta. So if like an Aspen one-shots you and you're at 50% health and he just drops a couple mill bomb on you and kills you, I don't think your rescue mark would ever get a chance to proc anyway. I'm pretty sure you'd just die. So I'm not sure how helpful it's going to be in things like PvP with a lot of bursty potential. But in PvE, that might be actually pretty handy to help keep your lowest ally, like your weakest link, alive. But they did change his first passive here. It deals 100% extra damage. Not really a huge important deal. He's not a damage dealer. But it gives your entire team a heal. It's now a basic attack heal, which isn't bad. I figured it'd probably be better if he'd had that all along. Of course, he'd be better all along if he'd had all of this stuff, but whatever. Not important. But now he's got a basic attack heal that lasts for 3 rounds, so he can stack that up a little bit, plus heal your lowest allies' health, which is nice. But he also has a boost to his heal effects, so his heals are actually stronger than what they're listed, or they're supposed to be, which is kind of nice. That's another thing that he's been missing. His heals weren't that fantastic, even back in the day. He just didn't heal very much. Vess has out-healed him all the time. Not sure if that's going to change now, if Ormus will be a better healer than Vessa. Could be. I doubt he'll do more damage than Vessa, but at least he has heals under his belt again. And then finally, when he falls below half health, he's going to put a heal effect on, increases the heal effect on all your allies by 15% for 3 rounds. So they're going to get a little more healing on top of this other passive here. But he's also going to put rescue marks on them, which, again, you know what that is from the first one, but it's a little weaker one. It's not going to be the 500%, it's 250% of his attack. And again, it procs when they're at 30% HP or below. Once it procs, it's gone. Okay, it doesn't. You don't get one that constantly heals you every time you get 30% unless you cast another active skill, I guess. But like I said, in PvE, that might work out a little better for you, help keep you alive. When it comes to PvP battles, I don't see Ormus making a return to the meta even a little bit, because when someone falls below 30% health in PvP, they're probably dead, like pretty much. I mean, when you're fighting things like Adas and Aspens and Mims, there's not really a lot of room for healing because your main goal is to, crowd control and murder the enemies. It's not to sit back and try to heal your way out of damage, because it's not going to happen. Not in the current meta. It's not going to be a thing. So definitely not a PvP unit, in my opinion, even with the buffs. But might not be a bad choice, especially in the Aspen dungeon, able to keep himself alive quite well. I assume he'll still suck pretty hard versus any kind of healing node, just because he doesn't have a lot of damage. But he could keep himself alive, it looks like, in some pretty hairy situations with those rescue marks and his self-heals. So we'll see how that works out. He seems like he got quite a buff, I would say. He didn't get nerfed at all. So that's Ormus. With Ormus out of the way, throat clear, we've got Shia. We've talked about Shia a bunch. She's a pretty good all-around unit. I've got an E3 on my main account, and I absolutely love her. When it comes to PvP, she is pretty nukey. Her blocks are pretty handy. She keeps her alive because she doesn't take full damage, but also boosts her crit and her attack, so she can nuke really hard. Her basic attack and her active skill both hit insanely hard. Her active skill targets the enemy with the highest attack, which is generally one of the most deadly enemies, and it nerfs their attack while also hitting them freakishly hard. So all around, just a solid unit when it comes to PvP. And when you fight bosses, those heavy dots mixed with the huge amount of damage she can drop is nice. I mean, my Shia is putting out usually about 300 million versus the Fire Broken Spaces, which mean I think she'd probably do about 150 million on all the other ones. I haven't tested her there in a while. But solid unit. Got some control immunity built in, incredibly fast, which is really handy. Just all around, really good unit. You want an all-arounder? Shia can do most things. She's not going to main your Aspen dungeon for you. That's one thing she does fall short in. Not enough heals on her to keep her going. But she's definitely a decent node breaker for the Aspen. And like I said, when it comes to PvP and PvE, all around just a solid unit. Not bad at all. So that's Shia. Who else do we have on offer? Brain. Berea. I know we had Berea in there. Eeny, meeny, miny, Berea. He's a pretty old hero, Berea is, but he's also a pretty cool hero. Essentially, he's a PvE hero. He doesn't work that well in PvP. He does get nuked pretty hard there. He has no crowd control resistance built into him, so it's kind of weak. But when it comes to fighting bosses, he hits pretty hard, which is nice. He boosts his attack and armor break, which doesn't really need the armor break because his passive gives him 100% armor break over time. But that's one thing that's nice about him. In long battles that get drawn out, he has 100% armor break, the full 100% crit chance, and the cap of 150% crit damage on himself pretty quickly in a fight, which means when you're fighting bosses, as long as you keep your Berea alive, he's going to hit pretty hard, and that's like the only thing he's good for. When it comes to PvP fighting, you don't see a lot of Bereas up there because they just kind of get wrecked on. Without crowd control resistance, and with everything doing percent-based HP damage now, he's just not that great in that area. But he's got a decent amount of armor, not bad. He's also steals armor with his basic attack, which again, really translates well when you're fighting bosses, not so much when you're fighting in PvP. So very much a boss fighting unit. That's kind of his big deal. Outside of that, not super fantastic. I would assume an E3 Berea can probably make a decent dent in the Aspen dungeon because he hits pretty hard. But outside of that, I don't know. I would say he's primarily just for bosses. That's kind of his jam. So you're building a boss team, you could go with Berea, but you know, would you get better results from things like Sigmund? Arguably, yes. Outside of that, who else do we got? We had Valkyrie, we know for surezies, and Demon Hunter. Demon Hunter's old news, let's be honest. You don't see Demon Hunters in top tier PvP anymore. She's gone. She's a dead unit. Silence just isn't strong enough anymore. I guess if you really pushed it to pair your Demon Hunter with an Aspen, you might be able to make it work pretty decently for you. But in most cases, she's just not that great anymore. Yes, she's fast. Yes, she has a decent amount of crowd control with silence, but silence isn't necessarily all that strong. You can keep people from casting their active skills, but it doesn't stop their basic attacks. And if they have an active skill and your team keeps hitting them, they just build up skill damage, and that extra skill damage, when that silence wears off, can actually nuke your team down even worse than if they hadn't been silenced to start with. So, like I said, when it comes to in-game PvP, you don't see Demon Hunters. Early to mid-game, she's probably still okay. Works pretty well there, but when you get to the late game, she's not really a thing. Doesn't do a lot of boss damage. She's pretty much a PvP unit, which means she obviously transits, pretty well to the Tower of Oblivion. But outside of that, she's just not that great. I wouldn't recommend building one, especially not buying one from the event. You get her enough just from orbing in Forest anyways. She's not that important. She isn't. That brings us down to Valkyrie, who is still quite powerful, but definitely losing steam in the new meta, which is nice. It's good to see her kind of getting replaced, because it gets kind of old seeing the same things over and over again, which you'll still see the same things. It'll be just Aspen and Ada now instead of Valkyries, which is okay to me. They're light and dark units. They should be in the top tier of PvP. Makes sense. But Valkyrie, I think her main use nowadays is going to be the Aspen dungeon. She is one of the strongest Aspen units there is, and being that she's a regular faction unit, she's pretty easy to build. Which means that's good news. That's good news. If you get a Valkyrie to E3, you have pretty much a free ride to hell in the Aspen dungeon. And if you get some lucky wave synergies and not getting screwed over by bad wave RNG, you can get to hell 50 pretty easy with an E3 Valkyrie, which is nice. So still one of the best Aspen heroes in the game. Pretty good all-arounder, I'll be honest. She doesn't do a lot of boss damage, but she is really tanky, so that's not a bad deal. And in terms of PvP, as we know, she does counter crowd control pretty decently, and her heavy burn dots are still pretty nasty. However, with a lot of units coming out now with percent-based HP damage, like Aspen and Ada, they do really bully Valkyries down, and I do that a lot in PvP now. Used to, I would avoid Valkyries at all costs. They were just too dangerous. And now that I have even a 10-star Ada and E3 Aspen, they're a joke. I can just kind of steamroll over Valkyries all day long, and it's nice. It's a nice little change of pace. So that's Valkyrie. Still fantastic in the Aspen dungeon, but outside of that, I mean, she's still good in PvP, but if you're fighting in a meta server with like Adas and Aspens and such like that, she's not going to be that great anymore, so watch out for those. Still a good unit, though. All around, fantastic unit. Moving over. The last one I think we had to offer here was Faithblade. Used to be this guy was like the Valkyrie of old. Everybody's like, oh, Faithblade's OP, please nerf. And I guess he was pretty good back in his day, but he's not bad nowadays. He's still a very fast unit, still has crowd control built in, which is nice. Does some armor ignoring damage, I guess. Well, that's weird. They changed his active skill recently? Maybe they just changed how it was written. I don't know. Either way, he has a good chance to stun people, 100%. That's nice. I believe if they have higher health than he does. If they have lower health, I believe he does the extra damage. So I don't know why they changed the writing there. It made it a little more confusing, I think, than it used to be. But either way, not a bad unit. Basic attack picks on lowest HP units. When he kills somebody or any enemy hero dies in general. He gets an immediate skill, which is fantastic, 100 energy immediately. So if he has 100 energy and then someone dies, he now has 200 energy, which means he has 100% skill damage, which is really powerful. Boosts his holy damage by 30% for 3 rounds, and he passively has a hot 70% holy damage. Not bad. So very, very fast, can't be stunned, has a really solid chance if you can keep him alive, because he's a pretty squishy dude, and people start dying, he can kind of chain some serious damage out in PvP. However, when it comes to boss fighting and stuff like that, he's just all around trash for fighting bosses. He's not that good at it. You're better off picking Ada. Definitely. But anyways, that's kind of units that are on offer. I think we covered everybody, didn't we? Yes. And Berea and Valkyrie. Yes, we did. All right, so what we're going to do also, because I need to spin these deals. I think I got 100 space already freed up. I do. Perfect. We're going to knock out 1,000 of these suckers real fast, like, just to get it done, because if I don't do it, I'm just not grabbing hearts. And it'd be nice to see maybe, I don't know, a 5-star hero pop out of one of these. You never know, it can happen. What are the odds? Wrong button. I said wrong button. Okay. Right button. Friendship summon. You have a 0.8% chance to get a 5-star hero. Not bad. So we'll smash through it. Maybe we'll get one. Maybe we won't. You never know. But in 1,000 of them, at least I got a pretty decent chance. Probably. Probably maybe. Outside of that, I don't necessarily need, I don't think, a lot of 3s and 4s right now. I can use them because I've got to do my fusion event since the monthly event refreshed, I don't know, a week ago maybe? Somewhere around there. So I've got to do some fusion still and kind of get things built back up, but we're going places. I mean, we're going places. As soon as Ada hits the shop, I'll be able to E3 her pretty much immediately, I think. Unless I'm short on the purple goo, which is possible. We'll see. We're not doing we're not doing terrible. I guess we're getting some stuffs. I didn't see any 5-stars. No 5-stars. Well, whatever. Not important. Let's go ahead and alter off those doohickeys just because all those 2-stars. Don't need you guys. I need your purple goo, though. That purple goo's hot stuff. Oh, yeah. And then boop, 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 boop. Good. We argued. But we got here going on right now is I've got, I believe, enough heroes here. I might be like one short, but I can cabbage stuff out of the bag. Plus, when we get to doing our fusions, because I have a ton of stuff to fuse. In this area, as you can see, I've got 291 4-stars and 302 3-stars. I'm ready to do some serious fusioning. It's going to be a thing. So when we get that going, I can 10-star Bade here. I'll get a 9-star easily enough. Then with another 6-star, that's Dominator, get out of there. I'll be able to 10-star Bade here. I've got enough here to 9-star a Fortress unit, or I should, as long as I don't have to eat into anything I kind of want to maybe keep, like the Shias, Valentinos, and Sigmunds, because they are pretty handy. That'll be a deal. And then moving over to the Fire faction, we've got plenty of 5-stars here to go ahead and fuse up a 9-star for Sherzies without having to get into our King Bartons, hiccup, or Scaries, so that's nice. And then over here in the Forest faction, we're already ready to get that to a 9-star, so we're good to go there as well. And that's going to be 9, 9, 9, and 9. These two are going to become a 10, and that gives us 2 9-stars and a 10-star, which as soon as she hits the shop, I'll be able to take her to E3, and that's going to be a good time. A good time. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm not sure how I'm going to build her yet. I'm not sure I'm going to go like straight for a PvP Ada, because the PvP meta on this server isn't necessarily like set in stone yet. There's not like, what am I? Rank 7. Top 7 in PvP, and I've got 1.3 million power. Most people that are in the top are much more powerful. Much more powerful. Any E3 Ada's up in here? Any E3 Ada's up in here? Any E3 Ada's up in here? Nope. E3 Aspens, though. 8-star Adas. Ada is becoming a thing. You got any? No E3 Adas. I think there's someone who does. Is Kermit up in here? Kermit. I don't see Kermit. It's okay, because Kermit's in the guild. Right? Kermit. Aha, Kermit. Check out that hot noise. He's got an E3 Ada, and that's good news. I think he was the first one on the server with an E3 Ada, which is pretty cool. But we'll get there. We'll get there as soon as she hits the shop. We'll get her to E3. It's going to be good times. Until then, I guess, I don't know. We might do a little bit of stuff on the mini account. We might E1 Dasmog on the main account this week, because I do have the copy of him, and I think I can 9-star something and actually get him to E1. We'll see how that all plans out. I don't really know. The world is weird. But that is going to be it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please make sure, smash that thumbs up button and show your support. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe as well and tell your friends about it, because that definitely helps me out a lot. And I will see you guys in the next one.